Did you know that 13 to 15 million illegal immigrants live in the United States today? That's nearly the population of the entire state of Pennsylvania living without proper documentation. Immigration has been a hot topic for years, but it's not just about who's crossing the border. It's about how it's changing our schools, hospitals, housing market, and even job opportunities. Some say undocumented immigrants help the economy by taking jobs Americans don't want. Others claim they're overwhelming public services, raising taxes, and even driving up rents. One thing's for sure, some states bear a much bigger load than others. Let's talk about the 10 states with the highest numbers of undocumented immigrants, the unique challenges they face, and why these states are always in the spotlight. California isn't just home to Hollywood, it's also home to 1.9 million undocumented immigrants, the largest in the nation. That's nearly 20% of all undocumented immigrants in the U.S. Think about it. That's almost the entire population of Houston living in one state without papers. On the positive side, California's agriculture industry, which feeds much of the country, relies heavily on immigrant workers. But the problems? Critics argue that undocumented immigrants strain public resources like schools, healthcare, and housing. In fact, some Californians blame this influx for driving up housing prices, making it harder for working families to find affordable places to live. California's sanctuary policies, especially in cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco, add more fuel to the fire. While these policies protect immigrant families, they also stir debates about public safety. Opponents say these cities harbor criminals, pointing to cases where undocumented individuals with criminal records avoid deportation because of local laws. Everything's bigger in Texas, including its immigration controversies. With 1.6 million undocumented immigrants, Texas is ground zero for border crossings. The Rio Grande Valley, a hotspot for crossings, sees daily clashes between Border Patrol agents and migrants. Many Texans say the state's resources are stretched thin. Schools, especially in border towns, report overcrowded classrooms as immigrant families settle in. Hospitals in these areas often provide emergency care to uninsured individuals, leaving taxpayers to foot the bill. Texas isn't exactly welcoming, though. It has passed strict laws against sanctuary cities and even deployed the National Guard to the border. Critics call these moves inhumane, while supporters argue they're necessary to stop drug trafficking and human smuggling. Florida's beaches may be paradise, but the immigration debate here is anything but peaceful. The state is home to about 900,000 undocumented immigrants, many from Latin America and the Caribbean. Miami, known for its vibrant culture, also faces significant challenges. Undocumented immigrants are blamed for overcrowding in housing and schools, and tensions are rising as the state implements stricter immigration laws. These laws include requiring employers to verify workers' immigration status, which critics say could cripple industries like construction and farming that rely heavily on immigrant labor. Healthcare is another hot topic. Hospitals in Florida report higher than average costs for emergency care, with some pointing to undocumented patients as a key factor. Add to that the state's already high cost of living, and you've got a recipe for frustration among residents. New York is known as a melting pot, but with 600,000 undocumented immigrants, it's also a pressure cooker. Undocumented workers play a massive role in industries like restaurants, construction, and domestic work. The state has immigrant-friendly policies, like allowing undocumented individuals to get driver's licenses. Supporters say these policies help integrate communities and keep roads safer, but critics argue they undermine federal immigration laws and could attract more undocumented immigrants to the state. Housing is a major issue in New York City. The city's limited housing supply and skyrocketing rents are often blamed, at least in part, on the influx of undocumented immigrants. And let's not forget public schools, where overcrowding has led to concerns about resources for both immigrant and native-born students. Illinois has about 400,000 undocumented immigrants, most of them living in Chicago. While the Windy City is proud of its sanctuary status, not everyone is thrilled about it. Illinois provides state-funded programs for undocumented immigrants, including health care for minors and college scholarships. Supporters see these efforts as humane, but critics argue they put a financial strain on taxpayers. Crime is another touchy subject. Opponents of sanctuary policies point to cases where undocumented individuals with criminal records avoid deportation because local law enforcement doesn't cooperate with federal authorities. And that's why you should give our channel a follow. We break down the most complicated issues into easy-to-understand stories like this one. Hit subscribe and stick around for more insights as we move to the next controversial state on our list. Arizona, with 275,000 undocumented immigrants, has one of the strictest immigration policies in the country. Remember SB 1070? That's the infamous law that allowed police to question people about their immigration status during stops. While parts of the law were struck down, its legacy lives on. Arizona's location makes it a hotspot for human smuggling and drug trafficking. Residents near the border often report property damage and safety concerns. On the flip side, immigrant labor is critical for the state's agriculture industry. Without it, Arizona's farms could face labor shortages that would impact food prices nationwide. Georgia is home to about 375,000 undocumented immigrants, many of whom work in agriculture. The state's peach farms and other agricultural sectors heavily rely on this labor. But Georgia isn't exactly rolling out the welcome mat. The state has strict laws limiting access to public services and higher education for undocumented individuals. Critics argue these policies create a cycle of poverty and exclusion, while supporters say they protect resources for legal residents. New Jersey's 475,000 undocumented immigrants are mostly concentrated in cities like Newark and Jersey City. The state has passed progressive laws, such as allowing undocumented students to pay in-state tuition. Housing is a significant issue in New Jersey, where high demand and limited supply are driving up rents. Critics argue that the influx of undocumented immigrants contributes to this problem. Meanwhile, supporters of immigrant-friendly policies say these communities contribute billions in taxes annually. With 200,000 undocumented immigrants, Nevada relies heavily on immigrant labor, especially in Las Vegas. Immigrants work in hospitality, construction, and tourism, three pillars of the state's economy. However, critics argue that undocumented immigrants strain public resources like schools and healthcare. Supporters counter that their contributions to the economy far outweigh the costs. North Carolina's 300,000 undocumented immigrants are a big part of its agricultural workforce, but the state's policies are less than welcoming. Local law enforcement is required to cooperate with federal immigration authorities, which critics say creates fear in immigrant communities. Supporters of these policies argue they're essential for public safety, but advocacy groups claim they tear families apart and hurt the economy. Immigration isn't just a national debate, it's a local one. These 10 states are ground zero for the challenges, benefits, and controversies surrounding undocumented immigration. From overcrowded schools to booming industries, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. What do you think? Are these states handling it right, or is there a better way? Let us know in the comments, smash that like button, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the issues shaping America today.